a little bit about here. Shockers everywhere. A lot of big wild card upsets.
Boy, this is really hard to explain. You got the Detroit Tigers taking out the Houston Astros. But Houston is a shade of what it used to be by virtue of injuries. Half their roster was on the DL. Most of their pitching staff was on the DL. Yes, they won their division, but it wasn't convincing. And this is Detroit. What do they call on that thing? Motown Magic? Amazing. This is a Tigers team that at one point was 10 games out of first place. At one point was 8.5 back the final month of the season. And they're going to the American League Divisional Series. Tigers, pretty impressive. And how hot is Detroit by virtue of what they did in the series against the Houston Astros? The Tigers are 33-13 over the last month and a half. Detroit. Oh, by the way, I just want to recall this because when we did our baseball preview, you do remember your co-host said the Tigers are going to be the team that's going to come out of the Central.
You did say that, and that was looking like a horrible prediction for a while, but it did come true.
Boy, I tell you what, they're doing it with a collection of pitchers that you can't name and I can't name outside of Tarek Skubal.
Right.
What a phenomenal arm he's got. And that was a guy they're trying to trade at the deadline, and they kept him, and look what they did. And they're doing it with the Torkelsons and the Riley Greens of the world. This team has just come together. Now, they might wake up in this next round and realize where the hell they are and start to scream, because that's really hard when you got a young team that's never been there before. Now, A.J. Hinch has been there before as their leader. So Detroit eliminates Houston, and Houston's got to be sick because not only are they eliminated, they're going to lose Justin Verlander, who just announced he's going on the free agent market. He's going to pitch somewhere else. They might lose Alex Bregman. They've not offered him a contract. He's represented by you-know-who.
Scott Boras.
It's a big issue. So the cloud cover looks pretty dark with the Houston Astros. Congratulations, Motor City Magic. Let's talk about the Orioles. I guess the bottom line is, and I have great respect for what Mike Elias has done to fix Orioles baseball, but you have to learn how to win in postseason. A year ago this week, community was in an uproar because the 115-loss Orioles had actually gotten into the playoffs, got swept. This year, 91-win season, fought their way through a much tougher American League East, get to the wild card round, get knocked out back-to-back. They stopped hitting. If you can't hit, you probably can't win. Of course, if you don't have pitching, you can't win either in postseason. One run in 18 innings for the Baltimore Orioles. It's got to be devastating. So they're going to have to go back and just reevaluate, because they've done it virtually all with kids. There's hardly anything from the outside of Corbin Burns, who was the frontline starter. Can they go get another veteran rental bat? They could kind of stabilize and give him a little bit more power burst. I felt bad for Gunnar Henderson. He had no hits in this playoff series, and that's a really fine player. So the Orioles, they lose to Kansas City. They got to learn how to win. How about Kansas City? This is a team that had 2 7-game losing streaks in the final months of the season. And Kansas City spills into the playoffs and comes up with 2 mystical pitching performances, and they wind up beating the Orioles. New York Mets, Atlanta Braves. I do not understand how the Mets have any oxygen left to go out and play more games after everything they've been through just in the last week. And that was a Mets team that was so far behind the power curve the first half of the season because of injuries and how poorly they pitched. And they got progressively better and better and better. And now it's this final game against the Milwaukee Brewers. I just don't know if the Mets have any gas left. And this kid, Jackson Chourio, holy cow, has he come on the second half of the season, young Milwaukee star, and he and Willie Adames have made a massive difference. Now, Milwaukee's a little shaky defensively. They have bad flashes. You say, my goodness, you're going to hurt yourself in postseason by throwing the ball around and throwing it away. But Milwaukee's playing this winner-take-all game against the New York Mets. So your response to what you saw, who's still there, who's not there?
Well, I love the fact that Houston got blown out. They're out. I think I read that they've lost like 7 consecutive home games in the playoffs or something. And I think Baltimore has lost 10 consecutive. Is that right?
Yes.
That's insane. So I love the fact the Astros got toasted. Get rid of those cheaters. And it's neat that Detroit, because they've been on the downside for so long. I remember the Detroit Tigers in the early 70s would often play the Oakland A's in the ALCS. Back in those days.
Nicky Lolich days.
There you go. Yeah. So that was good. It's nice to see Detroit. And Detroit's been through hell, so good for them. Orioles is just a mystery. I don't understand that. I expected them to do better. I'm shocked Kansas City. Look at that. Kansas City and Detroit coming out of the AL Central, which I normally think of as the weakest division in the major leagues.
Kansas City, thank you. 15-game winner, Seth Lugo, ex-Padre.
And then Michael Wacha was doing pretty well too.
Till he broke down.
Yeah. So, wow, amazing. And then the Mets, I'm thinking more about the Brewers on the other side of it. Because to me, the Brewers are the most nondescript good team.
93 wins.
Yeah, they get wins. They've got guys, but they're not superstars. Or maybe Churio is now, but they're just so mid. They just never really get to the championship series. They haven't been to a World Series since the Wallbangers in the early '80s, right?
So it's fascinating to see. Don't you just love the best of 3? Holy cow, is that must-see TV? Don't bother me. Don't call me. Don't knock at the door. Don't text me. I'm watching the wild card.
It's great. And I think, one and done was a little too quick, but I think this works out really well. And a 3-game series in one place. Yeah, right on. And it's proven that the visiting teams are winning.
Okay. If your team's still alive or your team just got knocked out, jump into the fans forum chat box. Give us an opinion there. We go from that baseball topic